For me, the biggest qualities or attributes would be great adaptation. Another one would be floorcraft.
The ability to learn and extract a lesson from any moment in your journey. Every moment in dance is an opportunity to learn.
It's like this baseline curiosity and desire to keep learning that I think is coming before everything I mentioned.
Hate me for saying this, but combos everybody can do. Dear Lord, just watch a competition. Everybody can do the combos, but they're not dancing. They're just doing the movements. And that to me is not enough.
What I see the most, a student just did a workshop, a weekender festival, and I can see it because they're trying to do all these things regardless of who they're dancing with.
A lot of the people that think that they are a great dancer, they are at the peak of Mount Stupid because they have a lot of confidence and very low knowledge. What does it take and what is the path to becoming a great dancer? What things should you learn and how to train to achieve your goals? Well, let's find out. Hello everyone, and welcome back to ZoukNerds. In this episode, we are going to be focusing on sharing our experience in becoming and training thousands of dancers across the globe to achieve their goals. If you are questioning your learning experience and how that's going to take you to achieve your goals, this episode is perfect for you. So, let's go. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode. My name is Alisson Sanji, and let's welcome back again our beautiful co-host, Gui Prada. Hello, Gui!
Hello, Alisson. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to ZoukNerds.
And in today's episode, we are going to be talking about the journey of becoming a great dancer. And I think we should start with, what is a great dancer? What do we mean by that? Because honestly, a great dancer can have so many different meanings for different dancers, for different teachers, for different people in the community. So we're first going to dive into that, and then we're going to be talking about the journey of becoming one, whether through our lenses and our systems and methodologies, or other ways that other people practice out there. So let's start with this, Guy. For you, what makes a great dancer? What are the qualities? What are the attributes?
That's an excellent question. And it's funny that you asked that. You know, guys, we talk about the episode before we start recording, but we don't go over what we're going to say. We don't go over the questions. You know, it happens on the spot because that's how we try to get the conversation going as natural as we can. And I was preparing a presentation for MAC, for Module 7 when I teach. And a slide that I made was align the terminology. And that's something that we are doing right now, that we are aligning the terminology. What do we mean by great dancer? And in the aspect of social dancing, the aspect of a Brazilian Zouk dancer, for me, the great dancer depends on your focus. If you're talking about social dancing, I want to become an amazing Brazilian Zouk social dancer. And that's one set of qualities. If we're talking about, I want to be a great Brazilian Zouk performance dancer, good demos, I want to do well on stage, I want to do well on Jack and Jill, that's another one. So I would define the great dancer, the great Brazilian Zouk dancer, or the great partner dancer that want to become a great social dancer. For me, that the biggest qualities or attributes would be their ability to adapt to each other, the ability to adapt to other people, working on adaptation skills. So, great adaptation. Another one would be related to floorcraft. You know, the great social dancer uses the floor masterfully, can navigate the empty spaces well, can prevent bumping, and can dance on the spot really well when there is no space. And I think the other great quality of a great social dancer off the floor is, for example, using the music to connect with their partner, using the music to inspire them. So it's an aspect of embodiment that comes that every time a new song plays, they channel the feeling, the vibe of the song, and then using adaptation and floorcraft skills, are able to communicate that with the partner and start a process of playful exchange, like of enjoying the connection with the partner, the music, and the space, and of course themselves, as they tune in with how they're feeling in that day, what the music inspired them to do. So I think it's this combination of these 4 elements that make a great social dancer. The space they have to dance, the adaptation to their partner, the music as inspiration, the partner's inspiration too, and connection with themselves to see what they're feeling on a given day, on a given situation. What about you guys? How would you define the great dancer?
I obviously agree with all the above and belows of what you said, but I want to take a step back and go before what you mentioned, which is the ability to always be learning something at any point in time.
Oh, yes. 1000%. Yes.
No matter whether you are in class or watching a video of somebody else dancing, watching a video of yourself dancing, social dancing with somebody above your level, below your level, or at your level, teaching, doing anything. The ability to learn and extract a lesson from any moment in your journey. And I'm going to stretch this further because I believe that the things that we struggle with in dance, they are a great part of our life outside of dance. So stretching it to your daily life. If you are struggling to improvise, if you're struggling to express, if you're struggling to calm down, look at those things in your actual personal life outside of dancing. Because I can pretty much be certain that those things are also there in your personal life. You might be the type of person who is always following structure or that needs structure in order to complete something. You're not very used to just going with the flow or the famous saying yes and figure out later. If you're struggling to express in dance, maybe that's also something present in your personal life. You don't necessarily talk about how you feel or the things that bother you, and so on and so forth about the things that we mentioned. So understanding that every moment in dance is an opportunity to learn, every moment in life is an opportunity to learn, and see the connection between those two. Something in dance that probably affects your personal life, something in your personal life outside of dance that probably affects your dance. I think that's a relationship that most people don't realize. And I work with a lot of students in private lessons on that type of thing because so many people are great dancers, great students, but they are only focusing on improving those aspects or those skills in dance. And then I have to make them uncomfortable and talk about how I see that it's not only in their dance. Like I have to ask questions and tell them, do you realize that this is also something that you do when you're talking to people outside of the dance floor, or something that you feel uncomfortable outside of dance as well when you're just out there talking to people? As teachers, we can see that connection a lot of the times with the students when they're dancing and when they're not dancing. But as dancers, a lot of the times we just think that it's something that we have to fix in dance. Or it's a technique that I don't know. It's a class that I haven't taken yet. Or I'm not in a level that I'm able to do that because I don't have that level yet. But I think a lot of those soft skills, they're not level related in terms of technicalities of dance. They're more, we could say, level related in terms of your own personal awareness and personal development. Maybe that's a little too deep for the first 5 minutes of the episode, but that's what comes to my mind after you already mentioned so many of the important things that we have in becoming a great dancer.
Yeah. This is very interesting point because learning the movements, learning about the dance and the skills that the dance requires in order for us to be great, they are easier to grasp, I think. It's right there, it's in front of us. We are seeing the viradinha happen, we are seeing that the connection of the hand is different. This sort of awareness that you're requiring is harder. It's harder to talk about, it's harder to perceive because they are ingrained. We are in most of the time autopilot. We are just going with the way that we always go. I think the awareness that the dance brings in this aspect of everyday life, it's already a powerful tool that we have. And it's a powerful tool that is presented to us. The thing is then going and doing the work after, so like doing the work with the dance, with the movements, with the things that you can see your body doing is there. We can grasp, we can touch it, we can literally connect with it. The other work requires awareness, more time, and everyday efforts into also changing those aspects of life that is sort of transitioning into how we dance, transitioning into how we learn dance, how we approach dance. The first thing you mentioned, Alison, about the desire to learn, to keep learning, there are two things about it. One is, in my experience, guys, this is super interesting. Now I'm noticing this. In my experience, everybody that I consider to be a great dancer have come to me, or I have seen them doing it, going to another one and asking, how do you do this? Can we have 30 minutes to talk about this thing, how you do this, how you talk about this, an exchange? There's some desire for more knowledge. There's some desire for, teach me a little bit more of what you were doing here. If there's anything that I can share, let's talk about it. And guys, this is so beautiful. I'm always surprised when someone that I consider to be at the highest level, in the highest excellence, coming to me and say, can you share with me a little bit more about this thing that you do? I was having a couple weeks ago an exchange with Iago, and it was really fascinating because I was wanting to understand how he builds circles, and he was wanting to understand how I build embrace. And then I told him how I build circles, which is different from how he builds circles. Circles is the circularity of the dance. And we had this super cool exchange, and he showed me some things, I showed him some things. Guys, amazing, fascinating stuff. But then in my mind, it's like, God damn it, it's Iago. The man can do all this cool, amazing stuff. And here I am telling him about stepping and blah, blah, So it was a really interesting experience. But to see the engagement, with Alison. Remember, Alison, we went to Seattle so we could do an exchange, and it was me, Alison, Kelsey at the time, and there was someone else there too. And, we were doing, I think it was the cambre that we would do in front of each other. And we talk about like hip connection. So we spent a long time just talk about hip connection. And it's Alison, and we talk about hip connection, So that kind of thing is fascinating to me. And there is also the other side of it that I have witnessed to, and I have recently exchanged with some local organizers, local teachers about this. When there is this, I already know kind of idea. Oh, I already know this. I have already done this class. So you see a teacher starting the class, and then you see that person leaving and sitting down. And then when you go talk to them later, I've seen this already. I already know this, And this is something just to be mindful of that I was telling everybody, that I was telling them. This person might have been tired, not fully open to hear the thing again, or to see what are the nuances in the thing that they already know. Because again, Alison and I, we were exchanging, and we spent some time in hip connection. Alison already know hip connection. I know hip connection. But there was something about the way that we are talking about hip connection that we could learn from each other, And that's the thing that sometimes can prevent someone from becoming a great dancer, because they are more related to, oh, I already know this, teach me something new. So they might not be yet seeing the nuances on the things that they think they know. And taking classes from other people and doing these exchanges is where you learn these nuances of what you think they know. Yeah, so all of this to connect to your first point. So it's like this baseline curiosity and desire to keep learning that I think is coming before everything I mentioned and makes a big impact in how you learn presently, how you social dance, because that curiosity is going as you were social dancing. The adaptability point that we made, the adaptation skills require curiosity, require the desire to understand. So then you're like, wait, I know hip connection, but with this partner here, he's working differently. What's going on? Sometimes you go for the mentality, oh, they don't know, or they didn't learn it yet. They didn't learn the hip connection yet, but maybe they did, just in a different way. So I think in the end of the day, what you mentioned, Alison, at first and then second, informs everything else.
Yes, I think a lot of the times people are focusing on the surface level things. They're focused on the things that they can see, not the things that they cannot see. I was talking to my students last week in class, and I was telling them about these invisible techniques, invisible details and leads. And I was showing them, you see, when we lead like this, or when we follow like this is how it looks. Yes, it works, but there's only a percentage of the body or a fraction of the body that is executing this movement because the prep was too late, the information was not complete, and the person just executes the movement. But now, when you understand the invisible things that are there, that's when you can dance with your entire body. That's when you can make your partner feel the movement happening in their body, and they only realize what the movement is as they're inside of the movement. All before, they were just feeling like there is a movement happening, there is something happening in my body, talking between the relationship from a leader to a follower. The leader is sending this information early enough, prepping the movement, prepping the body to get to a point. And for the followers to understand that every moment, everything that is happening and every sensation that they get is a piece of information. So all of those things are deep things that we call them soft skills, but I think they should be probably called hard skills because they are the hardest skills to attain. And the other thing is that when people are learning a lot of the things, they are just learning by copying, right? So let's talk about dancers who are more focused on the picture image, focused on the picture image, or focused on this thing that they saw that they want to look like or they want to do in a similar way. I think it's more useful to learn the tools to create that or to understand how to create that. For me, it's less important to be able to do it than to understand how it's done, and then one day I'll be able to do it. I don't know if the English makes sense on how I phrase this because I'm just really spitting out what's in my head. But for example, right now I'm learning to play piano, right? And I'm fully trusting the process. There are songs that I'm just very disconnected with. There are songs that I really enjoy playing. There are things that I'm just like, wow, my God, this is so awkward. But I'm trusting the process because for me, I understand that the process, the methodology, the system is creating skills on me and in my hands and in my brain that I don't realize yet. And in the future, I will understand. So that's why when we teach our students or when we train ourselves, we're more focused on that. It's not for everybody. Like we say, we can never be a good teacher or the favorite teacher of every dancer out there. Some dancers and some teachers are more focused on the picture or on the outcome, on this should look like this. when you do this, it needs to be this angle. For us, I think it's more about discovering how the movement can happen in your own body. Discovering through the tools of technique, of footwork, of drilling and doing all of those things, discovering how the movement looks like in your body, feels like in your body, and how to become a great dancer in your body, not a great dancer in someone else's image. Because I think that's what a lot of people are searching for. Oh, I just want to dance like that person. Oh, I just want to look like that person. Oh, I want to have that musicality. I want to have that styling. Yes, inspiration is a great thing. Inspiration makes us work harder, makes us move and get up early and do something about it. But I think inspiration is different from using that as a tool to simply copy versus using that as a tool to be inspired to learn what they learned to get to that point. So when you see somebody doing something amazing, try to understand what do they do to get to that level, to get to that point, to understand their body and their partner's body in a way that they are both able to do this, not just those two together, but they change partners, they're still able to do that with different people. To me, that's the most interesting part, and that's what really makes a great dancer. Understanding the tools behind whatever is being executed. Because, hate me for saying this, but combos everybody can do. Dear Lord, just watch a Jack and Jill competition. Everybody can do the combos. But how many of them are doing it in their own body? How many of them are actually feeling like how their partner is moving and creating something out of that in the moment? That to me is somebody who, in terms of competition, would score very high. The combos, everybody can do it. I can teach a beginner how to do the combo and they can still look decent, but they're not dancing. They're not exploring the art in their body. They're just doing the movements. And that to me is not enough.
Yeah, man, this is a very interesting topic that I have a slight different approach to this one in terms of the matter of copying someone. And it's really interesting topic because I talked this with my brother a lot. We used to talk about this quite often. We had the same teachers for years. We were in the same classes alongside each other, shoulder to shoulder, learning from the same people. And we were both really trying to be like them. So we would like copy the way they walk, the way they talk, the way they move. We would watch them dance and try to replicate their movements. And we were copying the same person. And we ended up doing completely different, you know. I think for me, I framed the idea of copying with the perspective of point of reference. I have a point of reference, like you said, inspiration. Eh? I have a point of reference that I'm connect with when I think about moving in a certain way or to a certain kind of music. So there is that point of reference, and I shamelessly try to copy them as a way to learn what to do to express myself to that song, to that style in that way. So it's almost like I copy with the purpose of understanding. The high school that I studied, we had art class and music class, which nowadays I see, oh my God, what a blessing. Back in the day, I was like, what are we doing here? But now I understand. And we would understand the art movements through the course of history, classic, I don't know the names in English, but you know, the art movements that existed. And we would spend some time trying to recreate that movement, like that style. And then coming what you said, Addison, what are the characteristics of that movement, of that art movement? So I would learn, oh, it's more flat images, blah, 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 blah. So we understand the characteristics and we would try to create a painting or a drawing that was inspired by that movement. And then my brother did architecture and he studied the evolution of architecture, and his assignment was try to recreate those things, you know? So like, that is like copying the style, understanding the elements of it. So I think there is a power to the copying when you see it as referencing it, like using as reference points, using as inspiration.
Yeah, I agree.
And then when copying it, I think as much as you try to do exactly the same, you're still going to do it your way. Just because your body is built different, has a different history of movement, has different backgrounds altogether. Like my brother and I, we were copying the same guy, the same people, but our execution was different. His was closer to the original source than I was because his body looked more similar to the reference point than my body did. So when people looked, if you ask Alex de Carvalho about my brother, he's going to say, oh, it's Fabiano's son, which was the guy we were trying to copy because they look so similar. So there is this aspect of copying it from the point of view of reference point inspiration. And there's one other take on it too, that Jaime used to say, the dancers who can embody other ones, the dancers who can copy other ones in the ways that they move and how they move, how they position themselves, are actually very skilled. Your ability to fully embody someone, to copy them like the spit image of someone is actually a skill because you need to modify how you move in order for someone else to look at you dancing like, oh, it's that, you know. So we would have this game called Who Am I? And we would like start imitating the dancer, you know. So I think if we can look at the idea of copying from the point of view of inspiration for acquiring vocabulary, reference points, inspiration on how to move, I find it personally a very, very powerful tool. And in the learning process too, and I think you remember this, Addison, when we were all in Taiwan and my brother was there and your team was preparing for the Jack and Jill. And then we have a couple people watching and giving feedback. And one of the feedback that people received was, oh, I'd like you guys to enjoy the music more. Remember what my brother said? I don't know if you remember what Rodrigo said, but he mentioned something like that he has a pet peeve with that request to enjoy the music more. Because when he was learning, he was like, but I don't know how to enjoy the music. I don't know. I'm so insecure about my movements. I don't know what to do. That's when somebody asks me to enjoy the song, I just want to punch them in the face. You know? Because, bruh, I don't understand. I don't know what to do, you know? So I think the process of copying is important in the learning process. And it's something that when we were doing one of the modules in MAC that we had that amazing master of didactics where she was talking about the stages of learning. She mentioned that the last stages are autonomy and horizontal learning. Is when you are able to like, you know, you embody the whole thing. But there is one stage that is called imitation. One of the stages of learning is imitation. So I find it super valuable that we provide people with information on how to enjoy the music. You enjoy the music like this. So they will copy how we enjoy the music. But I think in the end of the day, we are giving them a spark of like, oh, you can jive to the song like this. And then you bring them the knowledge. Now try you with your hips. Now try you with your shoulders. And then we give them the prompts so they can enjoy their own bodies. But we need to give some sort of initial spark in which they are indeed copying us. So that's the thing. The initial thing is the copy. And what you do afterwards is what will make the difference between the person being their bodies and continuously. I think the thing of the copy might be, in the end of the day, I think of dependency. How much that they depend on someone else telling them how to do movement, how to dance, in order for them to dance. So we start by saying, that's how you dance. That's how you move. Now, find it in your body. You know, so I think like, first, here are the words. This is how you say this. These are a way to say this. How you can build this sentence here. You know, and from there you go.
Yeah, I think my issue is probably with the word. To me, when I refer to copying, I refer to almost like a photocopy, not reproducing or replicating. I think that's a better way to learn. When you're trying to reproduce something that somebody's doing, yes, then you learn through that. I think when you're trying to replicate, when you're trying to reproduce, you are paying attention to the details. You are working with test 1, test 2, test 3, and you keep on going. But when I say copy, I literally say no understanding. I literally mean the person doesn't care or doesn't realize that they don't understand what's going on. They're literally simply copying without any consciousness or awareness of what's going on. I think for somebody to like imitate, to reenact somebody else, they need to be aware. They need to have the skills to replicate. But to just copy, I don't know. I think there is maybe a small difference in the way that we see things like this. But for me, it's a big difference in the way that I see when people are dancing or learning. Like a lot of the times the students are doing something and I can just see, you're trying to copy something. You're not trying to reenact. You're not trying to recreate, replicate. You're just trying to copy. And to me, there is a difference in that. And that is when I think people don't get the benefit of copying, like you mentioned. The benefit of copying is understanding, is feeling it in your body and all of those things. So I think that definition is quite important. Copying in the sense of no awareness or copying with awareness, with understanding and with testing and questioning pretty much.
Which goes back to your first point, like curiosity
Yes.
thing. Like if we are just copying someone else's homework just to complete the homework and give it to the teacher, and you're just writing words, you literally just writing words. But if you're copying someone's homework and reading what you are writing and reflecting on what you are writing, and then through the process of copying, you might change a word here and there. You might delete a whole paragraph. And when you use someone else's homework for inspiration to give you like, I'm stuck. It's almost like what AI is in a way, in the way that we use it, we can just like copy and paste the whole thing. And we are just like, okay, I need this. Or we can AI create a text for me. And then you're like, oh, amazing. Didn't think about this. And then you go use that as inspiration to build something else. And that's how I've been using AI so far. It's like a little initial spark, And in the process of dancing, what I see the most, a student just did a workshop, a weekender festival. And on the Monday practica, I can see what's happening. I can see they just came from something because they are trying to do all these things regardless of who they're dancing with. And you see them try and the follow doesn't go and then they stop and like, no, you should go this way. No. I used to look at that and was like, God damn it, people, come on. But then nowadays, I just look at that and I see who is doing it. And I understand, It's more like in the process of becoming a good, great dancer, I think there is this almost, and I'm going to say from the perspective of the leader, almost like a desperation, like desire to know more movements, to know more words, to know what to say. And you do these things regardless of who is in front of you. You just want to go through the movements, just want to go through the patterns. I think it really requires the teacher, the facilitator, the person who holds authority to guide that. I have a particular set of students, leaders, that they come to me to refine movements. So they go somewhere, they learn something, and then they come and like, can you help me understand this movement a little bit more? What normally happens is that we end up not seeing the original movement they brought. What end up happens is that I say, have you thought about going actually this way here? And they go, oh, cool. This feels nice. Can we do this one? And then we end up doing the other one that is like, that I suggested inspired by what I'm watching them do and how I'm seeing that they might flow better. So I am the subject with more awareness in this particular scenario. who can inform the one who is acquiring more awareness of movement. So at times, I think, especially us teachers or us who have more experience, we lack patience sometimes to understand that the person who we were talking to or who we are seeing might not be yet to the level of awareness that we would like them to be. And if we have some sort of way to reach out to them, then we can tell them an option that they haven't realized. This thing, I don't know if your teacher, Alison, ever done this, but in Brazil it was very common. They would say, come up with an exit for this movement. We'll go through a pattern and then come up with an exit.
Yeah, we do that in the teams as well.
Yeah. What was the most common thing for me as a student? And that was for me the sort of the pinnacle of mastery, of masterfulness in my student view. We would come up with all these crazy complicated exits that had like 2-way counts, and my teachers literally, they would just walk out, just like one step to the side and we are over. And it's so crazy because we didn't think about that. We didn't think about, I can just step to the side, literally, and that was always mesmerizing to me. And I still remember the day that one of our students, we did this, figure out an exit from here. And I was waiting for this moment for, 15 years, the moment that I would do this exercise and I would take a step to the side to finish the movement. And I did that and impacted someone because that person came to me months later to say, man, when you just walked out of the thing, I was like, oh, you can do that? You know what I mean? So sometimes the person doesn't know, really, they just don't know. So they haven't been shown yet what are the things that are inside. So then I'm saying we teachers now, we play a big role in this process of turning the idea of copying it, turning the idea of a reference point into the initial spark, into the inspiration, and then guiding them to show what they can do while being aware of how much they can actually perceive of their own bodies and their own movements. And that's a whole other story. But yeah, it's something I wanted to share.
Yeah, and I think a great summary for this episode, or maybe a great introduction that we should have used in the beginning, is talking about the Dunning-Kruger Effect. Well, for those of you who don't know, there's 2 axes. The confidence that goes up and down, and the competence that goes horizontally. So a lot of the times, people, when they're learning, they start very low confidence and they go way high in confidence, but they haven't moved down yet to competence. And that is called the peak of Mount Stupid. When your confidence...
love this name.
I can see you using that in so many classes in the next...
Oh my gosh.
I can see, guys, we're all the peak of Mount Stupid, right? Our confidence is so high, but our competence is so low. Yes, I can totally understand. And then after the peak of Mount Stupid, we go to the Valley of Despair, where our confidence drops and we gain a little bit of knowledge. And maybe because of that little bit of knowledge is why your confidence dropped. Because it's kind of peak of Mount Stupid is you don't know what you don't know. And then Valley of Despair is like, you know what you don't know. And then you're like, dang, I have so many things that I need to learn, fix, and things that I want to get to. And then if you get through that, that's when you start going through the slope of enlightenment. Because now you know what you don't know, and you're working towards knowing that. And then when you get to the plateau of sustainability. So if you don't know the Dunning-Kruger Effect, please look it up because it's quite interesting. I got this from a seminar that I was watching 2 weeks ago, and the guy was talking about it. But interestingly enough, last week, one of my students came to me and they asked, today in class, I felt like I was inside of the Dunning-Kruger effect because at points I felt like, oh my God, yes, I got it. And then I felt like, oh, damn, I didn't get it at all. And then I understood why I felt like I got it. And then I understood why I still didn't get it. And then I saw the light at the end of the tunnel and I'm like, oh, okay, now I know where to get to. So then at least at the end of the class, they got to the slope of enlightenment. They didn't finish the class on the valley of despair, which would have been a little sad.
Yeah. Well, that's very good. Man, I'm going to use it so much now.
Because that's the kind of thing that we see in dance a lot when people, they either want to become a great dancer or they think they're a great dancer. A lot of the people that think that they're a great dancer, most of the times I have to say they are at the peak of Mount Stupid because they have a lot of confidence and very low knowledge. But then there's also the people that think, oh my God, my dancing is so crap. But it's not. They're just in that slope of enlightenment or maybe getting out of the valley of despair. And in our classes, we see that a lot, especially in District Zouk or here or in Melbourne when I was teaching, because a lot of people come with ton of confidence because they can do and they can copy certain moves and certain techniques. But then they start coming to our classes and they cannot change directions. They cannot reverse a movement. They cannot walk backwards and walk forwards and change timing. They cannot do those very simple skills compared to the advanced crazy combo that they can do. And then they drop into the valley of despair. And they're like, oh my God, there's so much that I don't know. And when I started classes with you guys, I thought I was like advanced. And now I feel like, oh damn, I'm just a beginner doing advanced movements.
Yeah, it happens more often than you think. And right now, as we're talking about it, I can think about at least 3 people right now who are going through this process just during the warm-ups, you know. But the interesting thing is that some of them leave. They don't stay or they stop coming, you know, because they might be in that one, that Mount Stupid one. But those who actually stay are the one who like go to the valley of despair, and they go like, oh my God, I don't know. And they come back to know. And we receive them with the most open of arms possible. That's what we want, you know, people that want to learn, because in the end of the day, the topic of the episode is the process, the becoming a great dancer. And I think it comes back to your first point, curiosity. How do I do that? And then you just keep looping back to the same thing, you know. I think so. That's the whole point.
I think, guys, whenever any question comes into mind, just ask more questions. When you feel very confident about something, just ask more questions. When you feel that you don't know, just ask more questions, because the more we are curious about learning at every point, every time, every action, we are essentially becoming better at that thing that we want to know more about, whether it's dance or personal life. Simply stay curious. Stay what we call here at ZoukNerds a forever student. Be that as a social dancer, competitor, performer, teacher, organizer, promoter, whatever, DJ, anything in the community. If you stay a forever student and you stay curious and you try to learn from every experience, you will be in the slope of enlightenment and reach plateau of sustainability, which means you're constantly going to be improving for as long as you keep searching for information. Otherwise, peak of Mount Stupid will be your home, or valley of despair will be your home. Because those are the 2 places where a lot of people don't continue dancing.
Yeah.
They reach peak of Mount Stupid and then they stop learning. Or they reach valley of despair without guidance and then they give up.
Yes.
So if you're in either of these 2, find guidance and you will get to the slope of enlightenment. And hopefully you will have a sustainable learning path and learning journey.
Hopefully. We all hope that. And we are here for you too, people.
Yes.
So we are here for you in case you find yourself in either side you are in the peak or in the valley. So let us know, because we can be here.
Yeah, keep following us, keep subscribing all the platforms and watching our episodes. And even if you have no other guidance, we hope that this will be enough to get you to the next stage. So once again, thank you for being here with us and spending a little bit more time every week with ZoukNerds, with Gui and I. We really, really, really appreciate. And we love when we get questions from you guys. So if you have any questions or suggestions about future episodes, please let us know. And we'll be doing it for you right here. Okay? So, thank you, everybody. Beijos, beijos, abraços, and ciao.
Bye, everyone. See you next time.